So today I have the distinct pleasure of speaking with Sanj Altan of the SMHRIC, or the Southern Mongolian Human Rights Information Center. And I understand that the SMHRIC has obtained some recent news about Hada. Can you summarize briefly what we've learned?
Thank you, Jack. The SMHRIC was able to contact Miss Nara, Shina's sister, on May 4th through her mother's cell phone. Nara's cell phone had been confiscated by the authorities after the last interview that SMHRIC had conducted with her. Miss Nara brought some really important news to the SMHRIC's attention. The first piece of news was that Shina and Willis, the wife and son of Hada, had formal criminal charges lodged against them on January 17th. Shina was charged with illegal business, and Willis was charged with drug possession. And currently Shina is being held at the Inner Mongolia No. 1 detention center, and Willis is being held at the Inner Mongolia No. 3 detention center. The other very important news that Ms. Nara told SMHRIC was that Hada has been going on frequent and extensive hunger strikes to protest the Chinese authorities' detention of himself and the arbitrary arrests of his wife and son. Hada is still being held in a secret prison located somewhere near the Baita International Airport in Hokhod, which is the capital of the Inner Mongolian Autonomous Region. The most important piece of information that we've gotten, Shina mentioned again that the authorities are bringing to bear very heavy pressure on the family members. Shina and Willis and Hada, all three, are being pressured to sign a document in which they repudiate their previous positions on their innocence and plead guilty, accept the criminal charges against them, and they would be released. The fact that all three have refused to do this is really a testament to their courage and to their moral stance, their belief in their position, and we can have nothing but admiration for people who can be this strong in the face of so much pressure and intimidation.
That's not very good news. What does this arbitrary arrest and the charges filed against Shina and Willis and the continued arbitrary detention of Hada say about the rule of law in China?
Yeah, well, I think the obvious message is that the rule of law in China is non-existent. The entire Hada family has been denied access to legal counsel, for example. They're being coerced into this position where increasing pressure, intimidation is being brought to bear to sign a document admitting their guilt. So this is not really a legal process that the Chinese government is following. This is a process of intimidation disguised as a legal process. So this is not about justice for the Chinese government. This is really a kind of a vendetta against a family. And how can any of us, when we look at this and objectively think about how they're being treated, how can any of us expect that the Chinese government as a nation is going to, in any time in the near future, really have the respect of other nations, of the great nations of the world today? Until the Chinese government starts to respect human dignity, human rights, starts to respect its own constitution, I think the notion of the rule of law in China is just a completely non-existent concept.
So some of our viewers might not know too much about Hada, but he was arrested over 15 years ago for peaceful, nonviolent political activities. And when he was released after his 15 years in prison, during which time he was abused and kept more or less under the jail, when he was released, or just prior to his release, both his wife and his son were arrested by the Chinese government authorities, and no one has yet seen, or well, no one yet has yet been able to speak with them, except for Nara, Shina's sister, and it's just outrageous to me that the Chinese government is so scared that they're willing to violate their own constitution and their own laws and just keep them incommunicado for this amount of time. Well, is there some reason why the Chinese government fears a southern Mongolian family?
Again, the Hada and his family are really, in a way, symbolic of inner Mongolian desires and sentiments for self-determination. It's really this that the Chinese government is trying to extinguish. Any individual who tries to promote Mongolian cultural identity or Mongolian self-determination within, actually as stipulated in the Chinese constitution itself, is considered to be a splittist, an enemy of the state almost. And for this reason, the Chinese government overreacts and sees this as a danger to their own national interest. Of course, nothing could be further from the truth, because Hada, from the very beginning, embraced the notions of peaceful and cooperative and respectful engagement. He never espoused any kind of violent or subversive kind of actions to promote Mongolian interests. So from our standpoint, we really see this as an expression of paranoia on the part of the government.
Thank you. This ends part 1 of our interview with Sanj Altan of the Southern Mongolia Human Rights Information Center on May 7th, 2011.